April in Hawaii is actually one of the best kept secrets for the best time of year to visit Hawaii. In this episode, I'm breaking down exactly what you can expect if you're heading there in April. We're going to talk about the weather, the crowds, the costs, the events, and some things you'll want to know before you book anything. But there's that 1 week you gotta avoid. So let's talk about it. Welcome to Hawaii's shoulder season. Aloha and welcome to Hawaii's Best. I'm Bryan Murphy, Hawaii destination expert and your personal guide to planning an unforgettable trip to Hawaii. So first, what is April in Hawaii really like? In Hawaiian tradition, the year really splits into two main seasons, kind of wet and dry. So the two seasons are called Ho'oilo, which is the wet, the cooler winter months. And then there's Ka'u, which is the drier, warmer months. So April sits right in between of these two seasons. So you're getting really the tail end of that, the winter, all the rains that just hit, those Kona low storms that just hit and roll through all the islands, and going to give you an update on that and how you can help if that's in your heart. Going to talk about that in a couple days. And then you're starting to slide into the dry, sunny stretch that summer's known for. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. You got fewer crowds in summer, better rates than the holidays, weather that's comfortable most every single day. So it's really not a compromise. You get some great weather, typically some really great rates are available and fewer crowds. It's really not a compromise. It's really a sweet spot. I would also lump in May as well and early June if you plan it right, but that'll be another episode. Most people don't figure this out until after they've already planned and then they come back in April on purpose. So let's talk about weather because this is actually, I get a lot of questions about what weather in Hawaii is like during April. And it can change because it is in that in-between time of winter and summer. So typically, daytime highs are in the low to mid 80s and nights are around low 70s. So it's warm, it's comfortable during the day, pleasant evenings. So, you want to plan a light jacket though, especially if you're spending time in upcountry, Maui, or at higher elevation, like on the Big Island. Will it rain? It might. So don't come after me if a big storm does come through. It can rain. March, you do have a better chance of getting rain. But April, that starts to taper off. So it may rain. The rainy season technically wraps up in March, but it doesn't just stop cold because it's Mother Nature. There are brief showers, usually at night or on the windward side, northeastern sides of the islands. Might get a little bit more wet than the drier sides. Think like Kona on the Big Island, Poipu on Kauai, and Ko'olina area on Oahu. And then, you got on Maui, Kaanapali. Those are all kind of the drier sides of the islands where you're probably not going to get much rain during April. And as the month goes on, chance for rain does start to taper down. Hawaii's rain is localized, though. Usually the trade winds push most of the moisture against the mountains. It rains on that side of each of the islands. So one of the first tips there, right, if you want to have a better chance of avoiding rain, is book on the west or south shore if you want a better chance of getting more sun, more of that beach weather, if that's more of your priority. Ocean temps run between 75 to high 70s degree Fahrenheit. And by the end of April, you're getting closer to 13 hours of daylight, which is really cool. The later you can book into April will be better, but it depends on Easter. So we're going to talk about that. That's that 1 week you want to try and avoid as possible. But I know it's hard because spring break is a thing and most everybody is off. But crowd-wise, this is a section that I think surprises people the most. April is typically the second least crowded month to visit Hawaii, just behind September. And I really think October is hands down my favorite month to visit. If you've been to Waikiki in July, I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's a lot of people. It's crowded. The energy is high and it's exciting. Summertime in Hawaii is a thing and it's fun. But if you want something more relaxed and you're not really looking for that, April is generally different. But there are two crowd windows you need to know about. Easter in 2026 falls on April 5th. So that first week is going to be busy. Obviously, families, college students, the whole thing. But spring break in Hawaii is different. It's not that huge college, think, Cancun. It's not that huge party scene. There might be little pockets of that in Waikiki, but typically across the islands, spring break isn't a huge party. I did a whole episode about spring break in Hawaii, and I'll link that below. It goes into more detail if you are planning to visit that week before or after Easter. So that first week, it's going to be busy. Our girls this year are off the week before Easter, but there's other schools that'll be off next week. Again, I did a full breakdown. I don't want to get into the specifics of spring break in Hawaii. I did a full episode about that, what to expect, how to plan around it, what to know if you are going and visiting Hawaii in spring break, and how to find the best deals, and still how to make it the trip that you've dreamed of and planned for. The key takeaway is really simple though. Aim for the second half of April if you want the truest shoulder season experience. Quick break from today's episode. Don't worry, this isn't a sponsored ad, and I'm not trying to sell you anything. I just want to say thank you for listening. If this podcast has been helpful for you at all, hitting follow on your podcast app is the best way to support it. It's free, and it helps more people plan better Hawaii trips. Thanks again for listening, and let's get back to today's episode. Now, having said that, sometimes Easter does fall late in the month. So the first week of April might be your best bet. Basically, you want to give yourself as much buffer room. If you care about finding the best deals and having the least amount of crowds, you want to give yourself at least a week buffer room away from Easter. Now, money-wise, there is a change for 2026. Talked a little bit about it a few months ago, but I think it's still worth mentioning, talking about Hawaii's new Green Bill, Senate Bill 1396. It took effect this January 1st of 2026. And basically what it does, it raises the transient accommodations tax by 0.75 percentage points to 11% statewide. So basically, to do some math, on a $400 per night room, that's about $3 extra per night. Not dramatic, but you will see it coming on your bill. The original plan also included 11% surcharge on cruise fares. This actually got blocked. A federal appeals court issued an injunction back on December 31st, the night before that it was supposed to go into effect. And that cruise portion is still tied up in court. So if you're cruising to Hawaii, that fee currently isn't being collected. There's also been a lot of talk about state parks and entrance fees. So non-residents are paying $5 per person plus $10 per vehicle at 14 state parks across the islands. So that includes Diamond Head, Waimea Canyon, and many others. So those do add up, on an active itinerary. Average hotel rates still sit around $425 per night. That's island-wide. Oahu is the most affordable at around $275 per night. Maui is the most expensive at around roughly $560 per night. On top of that, don't forget about daily parking. Many hotels do charge $20 to $50. I've even seen like $70 sometimes per day. If you are planning on doing Waikiki, you might not necessarily need to get a car, or at least for the whole time. But if you are doing the neighboring islands from Kauai, Maui, and Big Island, I would highly recommend doing a rental car. If you're lucky enough to be heading to the islands this April, I want to give you some events to be aware of. And these are events that do happen annually, but I'm going to give the dates as they are for 2026. So the biggest one happens on the Big Island in Hilo, and it's the Merry Monarch Festival. This year is the 63rd annual Merry Monarch Festival, and that happens April 5th through the 11th. Basically, this is the world's most prestigious hula competition. And I just want to be clear because a lot of people hear hula competition and picture something touristy, and it's not. This is deeply serious, deeply moving cultural event that honors King David Kalakaua, who's credited with reviving Hawaiian culture after it was suppressed. On April 11th through downtown Hilo, the Royal Parade goes through and it's free to watch. If you're staying on the Big Island, more often than not, you're staying over on Kona side. Maybe if you want to stay a few nights in Hilo, you definitely have to book early if you want to check out Merry Monarch Festival because those hotels fill up almost a year in advance. Volcano Village is a good backup, or like I mentioned, if you're staying in Kona, you just make the drive. Another event mentioning happens on April 18th, and that's the 30th annual East Maui Taro Festival in Hana. And it's free. It's at the Hana Ballpark, rain or shine. It celebrates Kalo Taro, one of the most culturally significant plants in Hawaiian history. And the last event I want to put in front of you, this is one I haven't been to yet. I've always wanted to go to the Spam Jam. It happens every year. This year, it happens on April 25th. It's in Waikiki. It's a street festival. It's from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. And it's a local top restaurants, creative dishes happen. And this year, there's going to be a drone show. And all of the proceeds go to benefit Hawaii Food Bank. So it's these restaurants and these local spots kind of showcasing some of their dishes and being creative with Spam. So this is something that it just sounds too much fun. I've always wanted to go to this one. Haven't made it yet. So if you happen to be there, please let me know how it is. Let me know how it goes. Another thing I think that it's important for you to know if you're visiting in April is that humpback whale season runs technically December through April. The peak activity is during January and February, but by April, most males have headed north, but early April is really your best window for mother and calf pairs. So there is that option. The best spot is going to be on Maui, the channel between Maui, Molokai, and Lanai is really the spot. But the further into April it gets, the less reliable sightings become of whales. So if whale watching is on your list, don't wait. The first 2 weeks of the month is going to be your best bet. All right, so to just kind of wrap it all up, April in Hawaii, you got good weather, manageable crowds outside of Easter week. You have some really cool events to do that are unique to April. But it's one of those months that if you can make it happen, April in Hawaii is a great choice. So 2 resources just to put in front of you as you are planning your trip. If you are doing a spring break trip, I'm going to drop that episode below. And also on the website, I have a comprehensive guide of visiting Hawaii in April. It goes a lot more in depth, island by island, events, packing tips, all that good stuff. So both of those will be available in the show notes below. All right. So until next time, my friend, as always, live with aloha. Mahalo for listening to Hawaii's Best. If you found today's episode helpful, make sure to hit follow on your podcast app so you don't miss future episodes. You can find all links and resources mentioned today in the show notes below. Hawaii's Best is produced by Shorebreak Media Group, edited by Easy Podcast Solutions, and with music by our friends Stick Figure.